AEW Title Tuesday was last night as AEW and NXT went head-to-head. I'll talk about that in this video, as well as some other very, very important and interesting pro wrestling news circulating around the internet. Stay tuned for all that here on Screw the Script. Thank you, everybody, for joining me again today here on Screw the Script. I'm your host, as always, Maverick. I am currently dealing with a head cold and a cough, so I may sound a little bit different over video and audio, so I apologize for that ahead of time. So I'm going to keep this video a little shorter if I can. If you're new here or if you've watched me before, hit that like, comment, give me a subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff. I'm close to 1,000 subscribers. Once I hit to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to give one lucky winner out of those 1,000 subscribers a free shirt of their choice from either AEW, WWE, TNA, whatever promotion of your choice. All you need to do is let me know your size. So to get involved in that, just hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. So let's quickly get into stuff. We'll talk about AEW first, and then we'll go on to WWE and some news in pro wrestling. AEW Title Tuesday last night was really good. The face-to-face that we opened up with Moxley and Samoa Joe was very intriguing to see Samoa Joe's point, basically saying, hey, I never got my rematch, and hey, I'm a better fighter and wrestler and champion than you ever will be, and you basically come off as fake, was Samoa Joe's argument. And obviously, Hangman's argument was the opposite. So this was a heated exchange to open up about 15 minutes of the show. I'm very much looking forward to Wrestle Dream, as we got other matches announced for Wrestle Dream. As you can see up here, there's a new card, the existing card for Wrestle Dream coming up later this month. I mean, those matches alone, they look so good, and it looks better than anything that we've seen WWE put out for PLEs in 2025. Bro Dito took on Okada and Takeshita. Surprisingly, Okada and Takeshita won. I thought they were going to lose because I didn't think they'd get along. I thought their feud would start here and it would eventually cost them the match, but they ended up winning, which just means that I think that's just going to get pushed to Wrestle Dream, their feud. They're not going to win at Wrestle Dream. Brodito's going to hold those titles, and we will see the feud start there between Okada and Takeshita. They are going to eventually feud for that unified title. And like I've said before on this channel, I see Takeshita being the one to take the belt off Okada, but not for a few months. I see it happening at Revolution in February or early March, depending on when they do that. The Kyle versus Kyle match was a ton of fun. We got the chants I was expecting. This is Kyle. We want Kyle. Kyle forever. Stuff like that. This was probably my favorite match of the night, although a lot of the matches were good. But Kyle Fletcher comes out on top. And we see, again, going back to Wrestle Dream, him and Briscoe are going to be wrestling for that TNT belt at Wrestle Dream, and that sounds like a great match. We also had Moxley versus Ishii. I'm not a huge fan of Ishii. I just don't quite get him. I understand his star power and the history that he has, and obviously he's just a legend from New Japan and stuff. I've just never been a huge Ishii fan, albeit this match was still a solid match. Jon Moxley, as said before, is a worker. He works every single week, and he works really damn hard. So, solid match that we saw there. Lacey Lane took on Mercedes Open Challenge match as she is Florida-born. This was a nice surprise. She was used in NXT and a short stint in WWE on Raw, I believe. She is built for AEW, so I'm very excited to see her going forward in AEW. She comes up short against Mercedes, which was expected, but all in all, it was a fun little surprise and a solid match for Title Tuesday. The street fight had my Maverick moment of the night, actually, which I'll show in a second, but we saw the Hurt Syndicate eventually come out on top, and now we're probably going to have a rubber match, maybe at Wrestle Dream. We'll see these two teams face off one last time to maybe, close out the feud, but maybe not. I'm not entirely sure. That's just a prediction. But to get on to my Maverick moment of the night, here it is right here.
Benjamin, he's not done yet with Ricochet. Through the table!
Shelton Benjamin is just ageless. I mean, he made that look so damn simple. Ricochet isn't a very big guy, obviously, but the dude is, Shelton is almost 50 years old, and he moves around the ring like he's my age still, which is early 30s. Shelton Benjamin is truly one of a kind. He was wasted in WWE, as he should have had multiple world titles, I think, over there, and he never saw one, I believe. Just Intercontinental, US, and tag titles, I believe. The main event was Pac versus Orange Cassidy, and let's just take a moment there. Look at how fucking shredded Pac is. I dig the short hair. I didn't know what to think of it at first, but it wasn't quite drastic of a change as we saw when Juice Robinson returned with his shaved beard. That was quite drastic. Pac pulls it off, his new attire, his new look. He got even more shredded and sculpted than I thought was even possible while he was gone. I mean, the dude looks like a fucking action figure comes to life, or like a Street Fighter character or something. It's remarkable, and this match was really, really good. We saw Darby Allin get involved at the end, which ended up costing the match for Pac. Orange Cassidy picks up the win. These two have a long feud between Pac and Orange Cassidy. What was almost my Maverick moment of the night was when Pac did the slow roll to get out of the ring, just to kind of play with Orange Cassidy for a change. Usually Orange Cassidy, with his antics, is the one that does that to his opponent. So that was very interesting. That was almost my Maverick moment of the night, but I had to go with that suplex into the table. All in all, it was a really good title Tuesday. Now for NXT, as we move over there, it was a solid show as well. All the matches were, for the most part, enjoyable, but I came out of it and just couldn't get over the fact that we had multiple, and I mean multiple, botches in NXT. My favorite match of the night, actually tied for match of the night, was between Ethan Page and Mustafa Ali for the North American Championship. That was just as good, I think, as the Kyle versus Kyle TNT Championship match. Overall, I would say, in terms of the show quality, I will give the edge to Title Tuesday. But I will say that Mustafa Ali and Ethan Page match was really, really good. And that was pretty much the only highlight, though, that I had for NXT's show. Because, like I said just a moment ago, there were so many botches that happened. I mean, you had the one from the tag team match, and then you had multiple ones from the women's Survivor Series, like Eliminator tag match. Just take a look here at these botches.
Now 450 did not connect. Double knees getting up. Courtesy of Soul. I think a tag was made. I think JC just tagged her. Remember the NXT universe.
Somebody got something to prove.
Certainly
Here it is.
does. Big moonsault.
Left in the tank of the hardest, because right now they're dealing with. Oh, wait a minute. Did he miss that?
I think he did.
Yeah, that's, inexcusable. I get that they are NXT and they aren't, this isn't Raw or SmackDown, but we saw botches recently on SmackDown, that really atrocious one with Nia Jax. We saw one recently on Raw as well. I've said this before on my channel a couple of months ago, and I'm going to say it again. WWE's current product is too much of this, not enough wrestling. And when they do have wrestling, they're usually shorter matches, cookie cutter, cut and paste matches that are very basic, very boring. And anytime they try to go outside of that, their wrestlers are becoming, it's almost like they're becoming a danger to themselves. Like they're not used to wrestling anymore, because I hardly ever do it. I mean, you see on Raw, there's only like 3, 4, maybe 5, if we're lucky, matches a night. And the shows goes over, 2 hours, sometimes 2.5. More often than not, half those matches are under 10 minutes. Like they're losing conditioning. They're not conditioned to take bumps anymore, because they hardly wrestle the way that they used to 10, 20 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me when I'm telling lies, but that's just the way I see it. And, that's what happened with all those bumps last night. Now on to some news. We'll start with WWE. SmackDown saw a huge decrease in TV ratings. I think it was like 37% or whatever I have up there on the screen. Barely over 1 million viewers last week. One of my videos not long ago, I showed that Raw, is not selling out anymore. My last video stated and showed that 5,000 less tickets were sold in the same place from compared to 8 months ago on SmackDown last week. And then we see the ratings drop significantly. I think it's 37%, 34.3% is the correction. That's what it is up there. That is really, really, really bad. And you can't really defend that. I know people attack AEW all the time about ratings, and yes, I acknowledge their ratings have dropped over the years. But like I said, it was the new product originally. It was the hot thing to watch at first, and the diehards that stayed like myself, stayed. And they don't ever account for HBO Max ratings. They always only talk about TV ratings when they compare it to like NXT and stuff. Smackdown is not available on streaming. Smackdown is Smackdown, and it's on the USA Network, which is streamed which is available pretty much everywhere in America and a lot of households. And they barely got over 1 million views. If you account for what AEW Dynamite averages now on cable alone, which I know they saw a dip last week and I think the week prior, but typically they average 600,000 to 800,000. You know, that's fair. That's the average fair amount that they average, but that is just on cable. That is just on TV. You are not accounting for me, for my good friend, and many other people that I see comment on this YouTube channel, and many people commenting on socials that they watch on HBO Max now. Even if that number is on the low end of that 3.5 million or 300,000 to 500,000 that they say it is in that range, let's just take the 300,000 and lowball it. You add a 300 to their average 600,000 to 800,000, likely AEW this year has now had shows that beat out this SmackDown. And SmackDown, yes, is not the A show of WWE. It's the 2A, 1A is Raw. But SmackDown's been around almost as long as Raw. It's still been around way, way longer than AEW. And this is a problem. And the reason why I know that this is a problem is right up here. WWE is reported said to be undergoing creative changes to their team to improve the overall product. At least they're listening. This is exactly why I'm so critical on them. I want them to improve because their product has been dog shit in 2025. And then we got this up here. Shane McMahon is back on the WWE roster page. That's probably tied into what I just showed you a second ago and them trying to get more creative and have people help out. Is Shane McMahon going to return to SmackDown? I think so. SmackDown's ratings are plummeting even harder than Raw's. And Shane McMahon was a huge part of SmackDown back in like 2016 to 2018, somewhere around there. Bring him back to SmackDown and make it a good fucking show again, because it has been dog shit for a while. More WWE news quick, and then we'll slowly get over to AEW. Santos Escobar, yesterday on my channel, I asked if, or maybe 2 days ago on my channel, I asked if he should be signed to AEW or not. Well, cut that, as he's reached new agreement with WWE. Officially back with the company. Initially, it was that they tried to keep him and he turned it down. Likely they didn't give him enough money for what he saw he was worth. But sources say WWE management took Escobar's creative concerns seriously and offered him a much better deal than before. The two sides reportedly finalized the deal late yesterday. So he is back in WWE. We can drop all the AEW potential feuds and storylines, as he is back in WWE. He is a good wrestler. It is great that they kept him. Like I said on my last video, I can praise WWE when I feel like praising them. They did the right thing here by restructuring his contract, probably offered him more creative control of his contract. They could be bringing back Shane McMahon. They're trying to get creative help for SmackDown. NXT had a great match yesterday, but had a lot of flops. I'm pointing out realistically what I see as good and what I see as bad when it comes to WWE. It's just lately on my videos on my channel, there's been a lot more bad than good for WWE. Last thing for WWE, I believe, is this report that apparently Gunther is going to be Cena's last, final match. The ring general, Gunther, final match. Apparently, this is reported by Dave Meltzer, so take it with a grain of salt, obviously. Reportedly planned for Saturday night's main event on December 13th in Washington, D.C. You let me know down below what you think about that. Personally, I see the star power in Gunther and that he's a great wrestler. I just think that in a dream world, it would be Edge, but we know that he's off of AEW to film, I believe, a Percy Jackson movie or something like that, and like a season of some show. I forget what it is, but I know that's what he's busy with. It's not that he's going to go back to WWE for a match. Although AEW and Tony Khan would be the bigger man and the nicer manager and owner to allow that for one quick match, just to, for the love of pro wrestling. It would be cool to see. So I'm lukewarm on this because, again, I see Gunther's star power and he's a great wrestler, but I kind of wish it would be more of a nostalgia, like, Edge or something along the lines of that. Now on to other pro wrestling news. We saw a Chris Van Vliet CVV interview yesterday or 2 days ago with Karrion Kross and Scarlett. And the big quote that came out of it was when Scarlett said, if we ever go to AEW, that's going to be where we end up. We are going to be flying the AEW flag. That is going to be our home forever. Whatever our next company is, that's it. We will fight for that company till the end. He said some interesting stuff in that long video that kind of made you think that he's, not willing to go back to WWE, but then he said things that you might think maybe he will. But then there was, a quick, a hush when CVV asked them if they had been talking with AEW, and they said, well, I probably shouldn't tell you that or not. Before that, Killer Kross, and Scarlett, they were very, very open-minded on all the stuff that happened backstage in WWE, their final couple months and weeks there with the company, as well as the indie dates that they have and events that they've taken and all that stuff. They were very detailed in that. But as soon as Chris Van Vliet asked them that question about AEW, it was right away. And maybe I'm just being skeptical, but maybe they don't want to give away anything possibly. Could we see Killer Kross in AEW? Would it be a good fit? You let me know down below what you think on that. Now for AEW, Taz is going to go under shoulder surgery, so he's going to be out of commentary for the foreseeable future, probably a couple of months or so as he recovers. So rest up, Taz. You are one of the greatest voices of commentary in pro wrestling. That's all I had on this episode of Screw the Script. You let me know down below your thoughts on Title Tuesday and NXT's event. You let me know your favorite matches between both, which show you liked more, and your thoughts on all of the pro wrestling news that I shared. It was pretty much all WWE stuff. But then there was one thing with Killer or Karrion Kross that could be AEW related if he eventually signs there. And then the Taz stuff with commentary. As always, this has been Maverick with Screw the Script. Thanks for watching.